Even though I'm constantly immersed in different art scenes, I rarely come across storytellers, especially ones telling tales of early Toronto migration. My friend's mom has been doing just that for the last 35 years. We're going to get to meet her and find out why this age-old practice is still very valuable.
My name is Bernice Hune, and I'm trained as an artist. But if I look back upon it, I can see that very early my paintings had writings in them. Today, I work full-time as a storyteller. And Douglas opened that door, and when she saw the gleaming wood floors, her feet felt light and free. She made her way right to the back of the house and opened the door to the garden, and her heart and her voice sang out, "Tin Iman, Tin Iman, Tin Iman." I didn't grow up in Chinatown. I was born in Chinatown. And we moved to the end of the subway line in Toronto in the 1950s. And growing up in a very safe and secure community, I knew the kids at school had no idea that a whole family could live behind a storefront. Because, they all had a garage and a backyard, and, this was completely out of range for new immigrants. I started to go into schools doing arts education workshops. And when I went into schools in the 1970s, the population was changing. I would see kids who were visible minorities, but the staff rooms were not. They were always asking about my background, and I always had a story related to the art object we were making. So it would have been, I think, 1995, and that year I decided to officially separate my artwork from storytelling. And I became a storyteller with mayor posts in the schools and started to visit school libraries, and then festival events followed. So after they imposed the Exclusion Act in 1923, Chinatowns, Vancouver, Toronto, wherever they were, began to shrink in spirit and in numbers. It was a ban on Chinese people entering North America. And that ban in Canada lasted for 24 years. And in those 24 years, fewer than 50 people entered Canada. My mother was one of the lucky few. She was fleeing war in China in 1938, and she was a member of an opera company. And after the tour, she was permitted to stay. A stage was set up, and an opera performer sang an aria. Tin Iman, Tin Iman, Tin Iman. So I had a mother and father, when most people had a mother and a father separated. After the railway was completed, every Chinese person was obligated to pay a head tax to enter Canada. It meant usually just one person came at a time. There were long periods of time when family members lived an ocean apart. The common thread which has gone through my work as I've changed media is my heritage and my background. And I think it's because there were so few voices like me, and I felt in some ways a responsibility or some sense of compelling reason to remember my elders. And so the historical stories I've created from what I call community oral history. And then I bring objects that relate to people I actually knew in my family. Yes, Suhing had made her life in a new land, Tin Oiman. And that is the end of Shoes for Suhing. Thank you.
It's lovely.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing your story.
Yeah. Okay.
Bravo.
Bravo.